All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Zoning Advisory Commission meeting. It is November 1st. I call this meeting to order, and Jason, if you would please call roll.
Christ,
Here.
Lorman is excused. Mulligan,
Here.
Norton,
Here.
Russell,
Here.
Zucchero.
Here.
Can you please confirm we are in compliance with the Iowa Open Meetings Law?
Yes, we are.
Thank you, Jason. All right, commissioners, in front of you are our meeting minutes from our meeting on October the 4th. I would entertain any modifications or a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Jason?
Christ,
Aye.
Norton,
Me?
Norton,
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Abstain.
Mulligan.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, those minutes are approved. Thank you. All right, so this evening on our agenda, we have 2 action items, and we have 3 public hearings. So what we're going to do is start with action item number 1, a minor subdivision, our applicant being the City of Dubuque on Old Highway and US Highway 20. Is our applicant here this evening? I believe he is. Come on up.
Good evening, Bob Schissel, Assistant City Engineer. And the plat before you is part of some cleanup efforts that we are undertaking as part of the Southwest Arterial US Highway 52 project. So now that the project is done, we are going back and resurveying and replatting and cleaning up these corridors and identifying what will be remain Iowa DOT property, what will be transferred to the City of Dubuque, and then also what will be identified as potential excess right-of-way for either the city or the Iowa DOT to dispose of. So,
Okay, so we got a single lot, we're breaking it into 3, is that, do I remember that right? Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, let's see, staff report this evening is Travis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as the applicant stated, they're dividing this one single parcel at the corner of Dodge and Old Highway Road into 3 parcels. One portion of that will be dedicated back to right-of-way as Old Highway Road. The other portion will go to US Highway 20. And the third lot, Lot 1, will have no access from either right-of-way, but it would then be sold off or dispersed with excess property. It is considered a minor plat, so it requires the AC review and city council approval. That's really all I have, unless you have questions.
Travis, I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm assuming all this ties in with that, what that frontage road will ultimately look like at some point in life.
I would assume so as well.
Sounds good. Any other questions for staff this evening? Okay. If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we recommend approval of the plat of survey of Isaac Hanna, second edition.
Second?
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Jason, please.
Norton,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Aye.
Christ,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, so that motion passes, and this will go before City Council on November the 20th. Our second action item, very similar in nature, across the street. Bob?
Bob Schissel, Assistant City Engineer. I don't know if I want to repeat all that again. It's the exact same process here. This is the new frontage road that goes in front of Menards. It's called West Side Drive, and so now we are just replatting that whole area, identifying what will be City of Dubuque dedicated as public road right-of-way, and then also then identifying what the Iowa DOT will, what will remain Iowa DOT property, and then the other excess properties will be disposed of as shown.
What was Lot 5, Bob? That little triangle piece?
Yeah, that goes back a long ways, and you know, back when Highway 20 was modified, and it's just an old remnant that the Iowa DOT has asked us if we could clean up, please, when as we're doing this. So,
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Travis?
As you had stated, this is very similar to the other one. It is a cleanup effort. The other map shows what Bob was talking about, the excess properties to be sold off versus what will be city and what will be retained as DOT. Right there. And that's all I have unless you have questions.
Thank you, Travis. Any questions from the commission this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the plat of West Side Drive and US 20 Dodge Street. Location, Weber Acres, second edition as submitted.
Okay,
Second?
we have a motion and we have a second. Jason?
Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Aye.
Christ,
Aye.
Norton,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, that passes as well. That will also go to City Council on November the 20th. Thank you, Bob. All right, moving right along. We are going to head on over to the public hearing. This will work very similar, so we'll ask the applicant to come up, state your name, state your address, what it is that you're after from the commission. If we have any questions, we'll ask you those, and then we'll ask you to sit down, and I will then open it up to a public hearing. If you're here to speak regarding that particular item, we just ask that you keep it to a couple of minutes if you would. If we feel that maybe that's a similar comment to somebody that went before you, maybe just second what was stated, I'd appreciate it. And so with that, we'll move to our first item, which is the South Point subdivision to amend Zone B. Is our applicant here this evening?
Mr. Chair, I'll
Yes.
recuse myself from this one.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Tom Larson with Biesinger Associates, 1212 Locust Street. We're the developer's engineer. One of the developers were able to make it tonight, so I'm representing them here tonight, I guess. So they're just looking to amend the PUD, which has been amended multiple times in the past. But right now, it's been limited to two-family for some revisions that were made in the past, which is the 10-foot front yard setback, 10-foot rear yard setback, and 50% lot coverage. So anything over duplexes or two-family side-by-side were not included in that original amendment, and they would just like to amend it so that it includes all multifamily that is allowed in that PUD already, if that makes sense. I think Travis's report spells out removal of the word two-unit to multifamily, I guess. Or I guess it's just removed the word two-unit. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thanks, Tom. Do we have any questions?
I guess just to clarify, the 3+ units right now would have a greater setback or greater setbacks?
Correct, yeah. Anything over 2 units, it will have the standard R3 setback, which is 20 feet, and rear yard, which is 20 feet, and lot coverage, which is 40%,
Okay.
where the 2 units have been revised with the PUD so that they or 10 and 10 and 50, I guess, and they just want to change it so that it's all multifamily, not just 2-unit.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, let's see. All right, we're going to move on to the opening the public hearing. So with that, I'll open it. If there's anybody here to speak in regards to this particular item, you can come on up and state your name, address, and good evening.
My name's Attorney Douglas C. Pierce, P-E-A-R-C-E. I'm here for my client, Leanne K. Latham, who's a property owner out there in the area where the proposed change is. Our objection to the change is that it would reduce the present green space that the tenants and the residents have there now with this change, and that's not acceptable and not anticipated there. And I wasn't able to get or understand from Travis's explanation that there wouldn't be a taking of the green space there for the property that's presently there. That's the purpose of our objection.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anything else?
Nothing more that I have to add.
Okay, I appreciate it. Any other comments this evening? Yep, come on up if you'd like to. Yep, state your name, state your address.
Len Decker, I live out at South Point, 1451 Autumn Ridge Lane. Is it my understanding that this request is just for the lots as stated, I believe, in the request? It would not be a universal policy that would be applied at all others, for all other townhomes out there?
So it's strictly regarding Zone B as is defined. So,
Okay.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
of course. Thank you, Len. Okay, any other public comments? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. I went too quick. Thanks, Terry.
Barbara Lath from 2455 Rolling Creek Lane in South Point. I'm not quite understanding completely what Zone B, you said this is strictly for Zone B. I'm looking at the map, but I'm still not able to make it completely out of what this entails. So it's the townhouse area, so Rolling Creek. So this would also be behind my house, then Zone B? On 2455 Rolling Creek Lane. So if they were to build behind my house, that would also apply back there. It would be reduced from 20 to 10 feet. It's not just these sixplex that they're wanting to build by Table, that abuts to Table Mound, correct? So it affects all of the townhomes and all of that area, not just there. Okay, I would oppose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any others regarding the public hearing? All right. Yes, sir.
Essentially, we would reiterate what that lady just said.
Thank you.
Our objection was.
Okay. All right, very good. I will close the public hearing. Tom?
Oh, I just was going to state that it will not reduce the amount of green space because the duplexes would have the same, if they were to build duplexes on those same lots, I guess, they would still have the same amount of green space.
So where is the miss here in communication? Why is there such a difference of opinion here? So if I have a lot and I have a duplex on it,
Yep. You're required 50% green space. So we're changing it so a
of that
sixplex
lot.
would require 60% green space also. Yes, correct. So if you scroll down a little bit, the Zone B, whoops, I'm sorry, go up. The Zone B section there presently, with the PUD presently, it's required 50% green space, all of that area is. Unless you're going to build anything over a 2-unit, and then it's required 40%. So we just want to change it so that it's equal with whether it be a 3-unit, 4-unit, 5-unit, 6-unit, that they have the same restrictions and not anything over that 2-unit be more strict, I guess, if that makes sense.
So the 2-unit restrictions would match 3, 4s, 5s, 6s
Correct.
going forward?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And currently, the 3s, 4s, 5s are,
More strict presently.
okay, I see what you're saying.
So the original intent was to build all duplexes, but now they're finding out that a sixplex could work out there also. But sixplex is not the proper term, I guess. Side by side,
Sure.
townhomes.
Row homes, yeah.
Yep. So if they're all 2-unit, they're going to have the same amount of green space, or they would have less green space than a 6-unit would presently. So
Okay,
we're just trying to make them all equal.
okay. Any other questions for Tom for clarity? No? Thanks, Tom. Okay, we'll move to our staff report. Travis?
Assistant Planner Travis Rubbelgen. So as Tom had pointed out there, they are looking to do an amendment to Zone B only. It would not apply to Zone A, it would not apply to Zone C, and it would apply only to townhomes and not multifamily, not all multifamily. The language for two-family is reduced, is less strict, allowing the 10-foot on the front and back. And that, again, is up to 2 units. We would edit that or amend that text, or the applicant was requesting to amend the text of 2-unit, which is in bold there, remove that, and it would just read as all townhomes, essentially. And duplexes are allowed the 50% and the 10-foot and 10-foot. So the disconnect potential here is that the neighboring properties are currently, in some cases, undeveloped. Most of the development that's been out there thus far has been 2-unit townhomes. So a lot, if not all, of the development out there currently has the 50% and 10-foot requirements. We don't, as staff, anticipate this to have much of an impact, as, again, it's similar to the existing development that's already out there. What it does do is allow a longer string of townhomes in a line under one roof, essentially, with those same setbacks. So it is not increasing units, it is not increasing traffic, but it would increase density slightly because you're losing a front or rear yard, potentially. We did have one item for a letter of opposition. It was from the person who spoke here today. And I would just reiterate that multifamily itself, which can be up to 6 units, would remain R3 standards, which is 20, 20, and 40. And that's all I have, unless you have questions, which I anticipate you will.
I do have a question. Could you, so scroll up again, just so I'm, so Zone B, so we can have duplexes on any of those lots. Now, a lot of those lots are developed currently, right?
They are, but there's not a lot of current footage, so it's hard to show on an overview map, unfortunately, for everybody.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we're taking a 3-row, 4-row home, and we're going to put it on the same size lot, right? So we're is that right?
Essentially, so you'd still have to meet the required lot size per unit. So if there's a lot that's too small, it would essentially either need to be consolidated through the building construction or consolidated through platting.
Yeah.
So you still need to meet the minimum standards. Again, it doesn't necessarily change the density of the number of units allowed out there. It is strictly, as Tom said, it's allowing multi-unit townhomes, that construction specifically, to have all the same setbacks.
Got it. Thank you. Any other questions for staff this evening on this item?
I'm still confused, actually. So The 2 units that were built now
Yeah.
have 20-foot setbacks on the front and back?
No, most of them have 10-foot front and back, or a majority of them
All right.
have 10-foot front and back and
In the
approximately
new,
50.
in the sixplex, the 6-unit townhouse currently could be built with 10 and 10.
Can you say that one more time?
The 6-unit could be built with 10 and 10 right now?
Not right now, no. Right now, it would be R3 standard, so 20 and 20 and 40. That's the request. The request is to amend that. And I think Wally Wernemont, sits there, planning manager.
Yes, Wally Wernemont, Planning Services Director. So just give you a visualization. So currently, if we have 6 lots, they could currently build 2 or 3 duplexes side by side, 3 townhomes. Those setbacks are 10 feet from the front, 10 feet from the rear. If we take those same 3 units and we slide them all together and match them up so we have 6 units that are touching each other, the current rules would say that that structure would have to be 20 feet from the front property line, and 20 feet from the rear property line. What they're asking is just to have the same rules, whether these are attached or detached, just have the same setbacks as all the other duplexes that are allowed in that Zone B right now, which is 10 feet from the front, 10 feet from the rear. Does that make sense? So density-wise, currently right now, the way the lots are all laid out, if we have 6 lots and they want to build a 6-row townhouse, there's still going to be 6 units there. It's just whether or not there's going to be a yard between 2 of the 2 houses, or we're just going to push them together. Does that make sense? And the reason why they did this PUD has been amended multiple times. Initially, when it came out, they had some additional requests with regards to doing the townhomes. So it was amended before, and they said, okay, we want the duplexes, the townhomes, to be 10 foot from the front, 10 foot from the rear to allow a little bit more lot coverage due to the lot sizes up there. And now, as the area is being developed, they're realizing like, okay, we're going to allow townhomes to have that. That was approved previously through a PUD. Let's look at just doing the townhome structures. But if someone were to come back and say, I want to do a 6-plex, which would be just one building on one lot, that's still going to remain and have to be 20 feet from the front, 20 feet from the rear. Or if they're going to do a 3-unit on the first floor and like 3 units on the second floor, that would still have to meet the 20-foot setback. It's only the townhouse lots that get treated just like the 0-lot line duplex homes. Okay?
So all of Zone B is a townhouse lot?
Zone B would allow anything from a single-family home to up to 6-plex, depending on how the lot area coverage and everything that's associated with it.
So if I was building a 6-unit townhouse now, I'd have to have 20 feet in the front and back.
Correct.
And the proposal is going to say 10 and 10.
Right.
So it would be a reduction in green space, wouldn't it?
Well, and then we go from 40% lot coverage to 50%. That's the other thing that's changed.
Correct. So I think what we're saying is relative to the townhomes, it's the similar lot coverage. But to your point, it is a change from what is currently allowed to what would be proposed for essentially 3 to 6 unit townhomes.
And what's currently been built, there's only duplexes out there currently, right?
Single-family homes and duplexes. In that area, yeah, there's single-family and duplex.
Currently. So currently what they've
Or
built.
townhomes. To see, it gets a little confusing when we say duplex, 2 units. A townhome is basically a home on its own separate lot. And all those are townhomes. They have 0-lot line. So they have a common wall that's shared. They're all each on their own individual lot. So that's a townhome. When we say duplex is usually 2 units on 1 lot. So, not to confuse you guys anymore.
Clear.
And we're going from 40% to 50% allowable lot coverage.
Correct.
So that would be another reduction in green space, wouldn't it?
It would be a reduction in green space from what's currently allowed for townhouses.
Yeah. There's same style, but there's more together, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so imagine you have a 6-row townhouse and you split them and just made it into 2 units.
Yeah.
They would be allowed to cover more land than what that townhouse would be right now if they were all connected together. Same amount of area, same amount of structure, it's just how it's configured on the lot. So they're asking is like to allow that, what the existing townhomes are allowed to be a row house, a 6-unit townhome, 0-lot line to be the same. So.
Thanks.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the fact that there's several townhomes there currently, so with the shorter setback, so I think making the move to create a situation where they're similar is okay. So that'll be my position on this.
Yeah, I after getting the clarification I needed, I agree. I think the consistency of at least the front yard setback makes a lot of sense to me. Thanks.
Okay. With that, we'll either entertain some more conversation or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to amend the Zone B of the South Point Planned Unit Development to allow increased lot coverage and reduce front and rear yard setbacks for the townhome development.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Jason?
Zucchero,
Aye.
Christ,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Thank you, Jason. Okay, that motion passes. I appreciate everybody coming this evening.
City
That will-
council date is November 20th.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, our second public hearing item is, let's see, it's 751 Sipel Road regarding some signage. Is our applicant here this evening? Yes, he is.
Good evening, Keith Wolf with Dubuque Signs. We're working with Simmons and their sign provider as well to ask to amend the PUD to allow for larger directional signs. Currently, it's up to 6 square feet. We're looking to increase that to 24 square feet. And our request is based on the size of the property and the type of traffic, which is typically tractor-trailer traffic in and out of there in such a large facility that we believe it'd make it much more easier for traffic to find its final destination without getting lost, I suppose.
Okay. Any questions for our applicant? Great, thank you. All right, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up for any public comment regarding the signage. All right, very good. Seeing none, I will close that, assuming no rebuttal, and we'll move on to. Yeah, I think Travis will bring that up here in just a second.
Thanks.
Or Jason will, I'm sorry. Jason, if you'd give us your staff report?
We did receive one letter of support from the neighbor Diane Brem. So, as Mr. Wolf indicated, this application is coming on behalf of the Simmons Pet Food Warehouse. If you scroll down just a little bit more, Sheena, you can see an image of the facility under construction. Those red arrows can be disregarded there for some identity signage that is unrelated to this request. But as you can see, it's a very large building. It's on a large lot, and the facility will be having lots of truck traffic coming and going. And as truck drivers are high up in their cabs, they need to be able to have large signage that's very clear, directing them where to go. You know, many of these drivers will not be familiar with the area, will be coming to this facility for the first time. So we feel that the request is reasonable. The 6 square foot directional limit is kind of a blanket allowance for directional signs, but it's reasonable in sort of typical commercial settings where people are driving personal vehicles, but here in an industrial setting, the larger size seems appropriate. And this amendment would affect the entire Dubuque Industrial Center South area, so not just the Simmons Warehouse facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions from the commission? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion or conversation.
6 square feet isn't very big.
Not very big.
You're right.
I know, I read that too.
2 foot by 3 foot.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
Like you
But
said,
if
so
you're
for
going-
the area with the industrial and the amount of traffic with trucks, so.
Yeah. It's a
Mr.
safety
Chair,
thing.
oh, go ahead, comment.
I'm sorry, I just
Yeah,
think
go
it's a
ahead.
safety
Yeah.
thing. It's
I
a good
agree,
thing.
too.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested amendment to the PUD.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second?
And we have a second.
Christ,
Aye.
Norton,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Okay, that motion passes. I'll go before city council on the 20th. All right, on to the next, number 3, regarding Mary's Inn. Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is John Freund. My address is 1005 Main Street. I was here a couple months ago. You might remember we did a rezoning from R1 to R3 conditional for a specific property on Churchill Drive. This commission recommended approval to the city council, and the city council indeed approved that rezoning unanimously. Unfortunately, when it went before the zoning board of adjustment to get a conditional use permit for a maternity home, that was turned down. So Mary's Inn was left without any ability to operate at the Churchill Drive property, and as a result, the deal fell through. So Mary's Inn did not purchase Churchill Drive, and had to regroup and rethink what we can do to satisfy things in the future. And discussion with city staff led to this potential text amendment to the Unified Development Code. I do want to point out that with me tonight are Bill Beaver, who is the actual applicant on behalf of Mary's Inn. He is the board chair, and the executive director of Mary's Inn is Colleen Pasnick. She's also here tonight, and either one of them could answer some questions if I'm unable to, but I'll do the talking for this first part anyway. So what we've determined is it's very difficult for Mary's Inn to get a prospective home under contract when we have to make it contingent on rezoning and obtaining a conditional use permit. So the alternative of doing this particular text amendment was very appealing to Mary's Inn, and frankly, if we had thought about it ahead of time, this probably would have been the path that we would have taken originally instead of doing the actual rezoning from R1 to R3. At this point, what we're doing is we're asking, number one, to define a maternity home. One of the things that came up in the previous hearings is that there really is no maternity home definition. We were falling under the definition of a group home, and we think it would be a good idea to have a specific definition. And then the next part of that is to suggest that it would be appropriate for a maternity home to be a principal permitted use in any residential district in the city, along with any office or commercial district as well. And the reason that we're looking at it so broadly is that Mary's Inn has many different thoughts as to where it could go. It could be, when we look at places like the Dubuque Rescue Mission or the Teresa Shelter, those are both downtown properties in office and commercial districts. But so a property like that might come up that would be a possibility. But Mary's Inn also operates currently at Balboa Drive, which is a purely residential neighborhood district, and we love it. It's perfect for the young women, for their children, and it really is. What we try to do is bring together as much of a neighborhood feel to the living arrangement for these young women as we can. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we cover all our bases with the text amendment and seek that principal permitted use for all of those zones. In the definition of maternity home, we want to describe exactly how we operate. So you can see that definition. I think it's up on the screen right now. And we've defined it as a community-based residential home providing room and board, supervision, training, education, and personal support in a family environment for up to 4 women who are either pregnant or have given birth within the last 24 months and their children. Such a site may also include both on-site overnight room accommodations and office space for staff who provide and or administrate such a service. That in a nutshell is how Mary's Inn operates now, and that's what we're proposing the definition be. Yeah, I guess my last point would be that in our last go-round, we pointed out that the impact we believe will be very minimal. And I brought up the example of my 5 teenagers living under my roof, coming and going, and that being a much busier household than what I imagine Mary's Inn would ever be. And I stick to that. I think the operations at Mary's Inn are very, the property is well kept. The neighbors don't have any issue with where we are on Balboa Drive. Often people don't even know that it's set off as a separate maternity home. We don't use signage, have no intention or desire to use any signage. We just want to blend in as a neighbor. And the traffic impact, I think, will be minimal. We talked about that the last time we went through. And Dubuque's goals of being welcoming and inclusive, this fits right into that. So in short, I'm just asking you to consider this and approve it, or approve recommending it to the City Council. And if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them, or Bill or Colleen would be able to do so as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
You mentioned traffic. You mentioned traffic most recently there. I'm curious, is there a guesstimate on the number or percentage of women served that actually have cars?
Colleen can answer that.
I figured it would be somebody else.
Colleen Pasnick. I live at 1535 Alta Vista Street. So we have served 60 women in the past 8 years, and I would guesstimate that no more than 8 of them have had cars. So the vast majority of them do not have cars.
All right, thanks.
I do have a question before you go. Is it, so when we discussed this the first time, the number was 4, and I know that was very strategic based on current situation and future desired state with the home you were looking at. With this being as broad as it is 4 still appropriate? If your circumstances, I mean, obviously this opens a much broader opportunity for homes like yours.
So 8 years ago, when we went through this process, we thought we wanted to serve 8. And the Board of Adjustment said, we'll limit you to 4. And if you want to serve more, you come back and ask. So we were disappointed, but that's turned out to be a blessing. I can't see us asking for more than 4. We try to give the girls as much attention as we can. So 4 is plenty. So I do not foresee asking for an increase of the number.
I have 4 kids, and I feel like I said that exact statement. 4 is plenty. Okay. Bill, would you like to say a word?
Comment to that point? Bill Beaver, 1320 Oath Court. When we were proposing the text amendment, we talked about do we want to consider expansion in the future and go to 8? But with the breadth of this request to go anywhere in the city, basically, we, as much as possible, don't want to disrupt neighborhoods, okay? Our goal is to get into, if we go into a residential setting, we want to blend in and not stand out as, you know, the big house on the block, if you will. We're looking for a family environment where we can operate as a family and just be a family, okay? So we're trying to eliminate the vision in everybody's head that this is this great big business that's going to disrupt the whole neighborhood, create chaos, you know, create excess traffic and all those other things that the neighbors brought up. That's all kind of blown out of proportion. We're trying to be a family that's helping some women who have had some difficult circumstances, and we're helping them to have their babies and for their babies to grow. Simple as that.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, any questions? No. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right, this is a public hearing. I will open it up and I will close it. All right, so with that, Sheena.
All right. I can switch this quick. Nope.
I feel like you came prepared for some people to be here this evening.
I did, yes. Sheena Moon, Associate Planner. Okay, so I apologize for the slide here. I'm just gonna try to switch this. There we go. I did. I came prepared, but also to organize my thoughts a little bit as far as presentation here. So as we have heard here, this is a proposal to amend the Unified Development Code. This text amendment includes a definition for a maternity group home, and it also would list maternity group home as a permitted use in all residential, office residential, and commercial zoning districts. So, there we go. So, as the applicant stated previously, or currently, I should say, maternity group homes are categorized as a group home under the Unified Development Code. We do not have a specific definition for maternity group homes separately, but it does fall under this category of group home, which, as we know, would require a conditional use permit. It requires that if you're in the R4, R3, or OR zoning districts, it's not permitted in any other districts, either as a permitted use or through a conditional use permit. So it's pretty narrow scope for group homes. And I want to just talk briefly about the Iowa State Code, because as you probably recall on previous discussions around this subject matter, there was discussions about how there are other types of group homes that exist throughout the community. And there was some questioning at some point as to how those exist without going through this similar process of requiring conditional use permit. And so the big factor for that is the Iowa State Code. The state code defines family home, which is essentially the state's equivalent to our Unified Development Code definition for group home. And in doing that, it essentially preempts the cities and zoning commissions as well as city councils from requiring any type of conditional use permit, special exception, or variance type of approval specific to qualifying family homes, which would include, and as we see in the first part there, a definition, it does include persons with disabilities or brain injuries. This would include elderly care facilities, and again, homes for disabilities. And as we have talked about before, pregnancy is not categorized as a disability in the eyes of the state. And so therefore, it does not fall under these regulations. So just wanting to articulate how there's kind of these different subcategories of group home regulation. So again, this proposed maternity home will, and I won't read this again as the applicant already read the proposed definition, but it would include this definition as into the Unified Development Code. And then it would also list it as a permitted uses in the R1, R2, R2A, R3, R4, OR, C1, C2, C2A, C3, C4, C5, and CS and CR zoning districts. So that's really the bulk of what I had. I just wanted to outline the Iowa code as well as just share kind of the differentiation here, and also walk you through just what zoning districts would be impacted by that. We have not received any public input either for or against the proposed text amendment. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you, Sheena.
I guess I have a question. Let's just say a facility like ARC would want to open a group home.
Mm-hmm.
Would they be treated any differently, or vice versa? Would, for example, Mary's Inn be treated any differently than they would? It's given the fact that obviously one has disabilities and one doesn't, but if disabilities weren't an issue in the code, would they be treated differently?
So currently, they are permitted in residential districts under state code, primarily because they would be serving a group of disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, they are allowed by right to be in these residential zoning districts by state law. Again, so as I mentioned,
All districts, all residential, R1
yes,
all the way up? Okay.
residential districts. It specifically says, I'm going to pull this up here, in residential zoning zones or districts. That's specifically what the state code allows for. So the one difference between these two, this text amendment would be that Mary's Inn, or not Mary's Inn, but a maternity group home would be permitted in additional zoning districts beyond what an ARC home would be permitted in by right. So that's kind of a unique differentiation, but essentially it would be allowed to, again, as a permitted use in those various zoning districts.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I guess the reason for my question is if a group home of, mentally disabled or physically challenged or whatever population, they would have many more staff members than would a maternity home. So my point is, if they would allow the group home, I'm fine with the maternity home. I just wanted to make sure that it was consistent.
And to that point, just as far as, I know we had the discussion about number of occupants or residents within the facility or group home. The state does allow up to 8 persons within those family homes, whereas this amendment would allow up to 4 if approved. So that's a differentiation as well.
Yeah, because I'd be willing to discuss more residents in a commercial type setting, but that's not a request, so we won't even go there.
So the only comment I have is this obviously passed this commission. It passed city council unanimously. I feel it was held up on a technicality, which was unfortunate. I looked up a handful of definitions that other jurisdictions use, and it's like pages. It's pages of stuff. I appreciate the fact that it's 6 sentences in this case. I want to call to attention the last sentence because I feel like this was a comment brought up by some folks that were maybe in opposition. I'll read it out. Such a site may also include both on-site overnight room accommodations and office space for the staff who provide and/or administrate such a service. If you recall, there were comments that, staff was parking their car, or how many staff members were there, et cetera, that seemed to bother some people. So I feel like everything is covered based on what we heard the first go around a couple of months ago, but yeah, it's unfortunate. This, in my opinion, this is what it took to get it done, but this is one way to do it. Any other comments, concerns?
When I was reviewing the packet in advance of the meeting, I thought to myself, well, this would mean they could move in next to me. And I thought, well, I guess there really isn't any logical reason why they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
I couldn't come up with anything, so.
Is your house for sale next to you?
No, no, 2 doors down, it's sale pending. So I'm in favor of the proposal myself.
All right, very good. I'll entertain a motion then.
I move we recommend approval of the definition of maternity group home and add permitted use of a maternity group home to the R1, R2, R2A, R3, R4, OR, C1, C2, C2A, C3, C4, C5, CS, and CR districts.
Jason, did you get that?
Submitted.
Go on.
As submitted.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Very good. We have a motion and we have a second. Jason?
Christ,
Aye.
Norton,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. All right. That passes. You guys. And that will go to City Council on November the 20th. Very good. All right, gang, we made it. Let's see. Any items from the public this evening? Very good. Seeing none. Any from the commission? Seeing none. Anything from staff?
We have nothing.
You have nothing? Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, shall we adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.